You think you can go anywhere in the world with an American passport? Think again. Welcome, folks. I'm your host, Alex. Today we're diving into a world less traversed, exploring corners where the Star-Spangled Banner doesn't necessarily grant you access. It's a fun, albeit slightly offbeat ride as we unearth why some places might just say, "No thank you," to Americans. So forget your traditional travel plans and prepare for the unexpected. So buckle up as we embark on this unexpected journey. First stop, North Korea. Not exactly a tourist hotspot for anyone, let alone Americans. Now you might be thinking, why North Korea, Alex? Well, it's a fascinating place, but it's also one where Americans aren't exactly greeted with open arms. You see, political tensions between the United States and North Korea have been simmering for quite some time. And this has resulted in some pretty strict travel regulations. The U.S. Department of State strongly advises against all travel to North Korea, due to serious risk of arrest and long-term detention. Besides, getting a tourist visa as an American? Well, let's just say it's about as easy as finding a unicorn in your backyard. And even if you do manage to get in, you'll be under constant surveillance. Not really the ideal vacation situation, is it? So, North Korea might just be one to cross off your bucket list. Next up, the sunny and beautiful Cuba, but wait, not so fast. Just picture it. The vibrant Havana streets, the pulsating rhythms of salsa music, the allure of vintage cars, and the tantalizing aroma of Cuban cigars. It's a paradise that seems made for exploration and adventure. However, due to ongoing political disputes between the United States and Cuba, this tropical paradise remains forbidden for American tourists. These restrictions stem from the long-standing trade embargo which, despite some relaxations over the years, still firmly limits American travel to Cuba. The rules are complex and exceptions exist, but overall it's a challenging and risky venture for most. You see, the US government imposes hefty penalties for those who defy these restrictions. And that's not something you'd want to deal with when dreaming of a relaxing getaway, right? So, until the political climate changes, this Caribbean gem remains a forbidden paradise for many. So for now, those white sandy beaches will have to wait. Ever thought about visiting Iran? Well, you might want to reconsider. Now don't get me wrong, Iran is a country of rich culture and history, with breathtaking landscapes and warm-hearted locals. However, the political climate is a different story. Due to escalating tensions and diplomatic disagreements, travel advisories have been issued, warning Americans against visiting this Middle Eastern gem. This is not your average tourist beware situation. We're talking about serious warnings from the U.S. Department of State, citing the risk of unjust detainment and imprisonment for American citizens. It's a bit like walking into a lion's den wearing a steak suit. Not exactly the ideal vacation scenario, right? These restrictions are a result of ongoing political disputes, and while it's unfortunate, the safety of citizens always comes first. So, for now, Iran remains a fascinating place to learn about, but from a safe distance. Guess it's a no-go for the land of ancient Persia. Now let's head to some lesser-known places where Americans might get a frosty reception. First up is Sudan. It's a country rich in history, with pyramids that rival those of Egypt and landscapes that take your breath away. But don't be fooled by its beauty. The U.S. Department of State has issued a Level 4 travel advisory for Sudan due to crime, terrorism, civil unrest, kidnapping, and armed conflict. The political instability and safety concerns make it a risky destination for Americans. It's a place where you need to tread lightly, if at all. Next on our list is the Central African Republic, a landlocked country that's home to diverse wildlife and breathtaking natural scenery. However, beneath its picturesque facade, the Central African Republic grapples with ongoing violence and political instability. The threat of violent crime, civil unrest, and kidnapping has led to a Level 4 travel advisory for Americans. It's a place that's beautiful on the surface, but its underlying turmoil makes it less than welcoming for visitors from the States. Lastly, let's talk about Somalia, a country on the Horn of Africa known for its stunning coastline and fascinating culture. But Somalia also has its share of troubles. It's been grappling with a long-standing civil war, piracy, and terrorism, making it a place where safety is a genuine concern. The U.S. Department of State advises against all travel to Somalia, citing extreme risks to safety and security. It's a place where the Welcome Mat isn't exactly out for Americans. These offbeat spots, while intriguing in their own right, present a host of challenges and potential dangers for American travelers. They're places where the usual rules of travel don't necessarily apply, and where caution is the name of the game. For now, unless you're an intrepid adventurer with a high tolerance for risk, these destinations might be best admired from afar. These offbeat places might just stay off your travel itinerary for a bit longer. Ever wondered about countries that outright ban tourism? Yes, they exist. Now, we're heading into territories where the notion of tourism is heavily regulated or practically non-existent. We're talking about places like Bhutan and Saudi Arabia. Let's start with Bhutan, the land of the thunder dragon. This Himalayan kingdom, known for its stunning landscapes and gross national happiness, is not your typical tourist destination. Bhutan has a unique approach to tourism, often referred to as high-value, low-impact. This policy is designed to protect their unique culture and pristine environment. They limit the number of tourists by imposing a daily tariff. For Americans, this can be an eye-watering $250 a day, and that's not including your flight. So if you're planning on visiting, better start saving now. Next up is Saudi Arabia, a country that was virtually closed to tourists until very recently. The kingdom is slowly opening its doors to foreign visitors, but it's still a challenging destination for Americans. The visa process can be quite complex and time-consuming. And once you're there, you'll need to adhere to strict cultural norms and dress codes. It's not your usual beach vacation, that's for sure. Then there's North Korea. Yes, it's technically possible for Americans to visit, but it's fraught with risks and restrictions. You'll need to be part of a guided tour and your itinerary will be strictly controlled. Not exactly the freedom-loving vacation most Americans dream of. Now, it's important to remember that these travel restrictions aren't personal. They often stem from cultural, political, or environmental considerations. They're not about singling out Americans, but rather about preserving something precious and unique. So while these countries might not be on your travel bucket list, they remind us of the diverse world we live in. A world where not every corner is designed for tourists, where not every culture is ready for the global stage, and where not every natural wonder is open for business. Guess some places just aren't ready for the Instagram invasion. So, there you have it. 10 places where your American passport might not be your golden ticket. We've ventured off the beaten path and looked at some spots that are, let's say, less than welcoming to Americans. Let's do a quick recap, shall we? First up, we had the enigmatic North Korea. With their strict government policies and tense political climate, it's no wonder that Americans are discouraged from visiting. Then, there's Iran, a country rich in culture and history, but whose strained relations with the United States makes it a no-go zone for American tourists. We moved on to the sun-kissed shores of Cuba, a paradise within reach but still off-limits due to long-standing political disagreements. And let's not forget about Somalia, a country with a tumultuous history and ongoing security issues, making it a risky venture for American travelers. Then, we ventured into the chilly territories of Russia and Belarus, where geopolitical tensions and bureaucratic red tape make it less than inviting for our fellow Americans. Not to mention Venezuela, a country with a vibrant culture but whose economic and political instability makes it a volatile destination. Next, we took a detour into the heart of Africa and discussed the Central African Republic and Sudan. These nations, despite their rich cultural heritage and natural beauty, have been rendered inhospitable due to ongoing conflicts and security concerns. Lastly, we talked about Afghanistan, a country that's been in the global spotlight for decades. Its current state of unrest and instability makes it a high-risk zone for Americans and many others. But hey, don't let this list put a damper on your adventurous spirit. There are still plenty of places around the globe that welcome Americans with open arms. It's all about doing your homework, staying informed, and respecting the laws and customs of the places you visit. Remember, every country has its unique charm and beauty. Sometimes the most rewarding experiences come from stepping out of our comfort zone and diving headfirst into the unknown. And if you're itching to explore these places, don't lose hope. Who knows, the global political landscape is ever-changing, and doors that are closed today may swing open tomorrow. Remember, the world is vast and full of surprises, so keep exploring, where you're welcome, of course.